Okay, and we're back with some more Walkera V400 modifications, maintenance, and repairs. And what we're looking at here are some voltage indicators and tools and buzzers. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Now, I'm a big fan of these. Everybody's got one of these little gizmos to measure your battery voltage, if I can just get this right. Okay, these are pretty popular. We use these a lot. But there's another version, which here, and let me demonstrate this. Okay, so you hear that buzzing sound. It's pre-programmed to buzz as the voltage gets too low in each cell. And if you're an inexperienced pilot, or if you're not too sure about things, or if you just forget to set your timer, this is a good option. Now there's another, I'll get back to that in 1 second. Now there's another version here. These are becoming a little bit more popular. These are a little bit more sophisticated. The problem with this one is, now this is programmable. Alright, this displays voltage and you can set it to a specific voltage. The problem is it's got a nice bright light, but you can't hear it. So unless you got this in a spot where you can see the light and you're really staring at it, it's nice that it's programmable, but this one's cheaper and it's louder. So let's show you how we got that hooked up. Now the first thing you got to get your hands on is an extension wire. They plug right into the battery and then of course into the tool. Now the way we set that up here was real simple. We've got it strapped along the side of the frame here, and it's just held in with the rubber band and it wraps underneath, and we've got some Velcro on the bottom. So what we do is we plug this little guy in here and we Velcro it to the bottom. And there you go, instant buzzer, timer, whatever you want to call it, and it keeps track of your voltage for you. Alright, so that's one thing we wanted to talk about. Another guy, and this is probably something we should have done first in this series, probably one of the most important modifications on any Walkera V400D02, and that is the tail boom support. Now, the only people you can buy this from is RTF Heli, and this is the guy right here. You can see there's a slightly different version on this heli, but the basic premise is the same. This mount in here, this plastic mount for the tail boom, is just that, it's a plastic mount. And you don't have to crash the helicopter, just a hard landing. I've had a couple of these break with no hard landings. As soon as you add this little guy in here, I believe RTFheli.com's got these for $19 and change. Very simple to install, with the exception of you have to slide it over the tail boom, so it does require taking the tail motor off, and you've got to solder, desolder and solder a couple of wires, but it's worth it. Once it's installed, you'll never have a problem with that rear mount again. I've had some severe crashes, I've had some full speed drilling into the dirt crashes with this thing, and that mount has not broken. So that's a good piece to get. It's a good investment and speaks for itself. Let's see, we wanted to talk about, well, the other thing is these gears. Okay, let's get back to this guy here. Now Walkera, I'm a big Walkera fan, but mostly all Walkera model helicopters have a problem with the plastic that they're using on these gears. The teeth break fairly easy, they stripped easy. It doesn't take much to break these gears. So I would strongly urge, and we're going to go over later, a list of items that you should keep in stock, replacement parts, but this is probably number one, and I'd keep a couple. Now there's a few tricks to getting that out of there, and the trick is you got to take it apart. There's no way to cheat it. I've tried and it's impossible. You've got to take the top frame off. I don't have time in this particular video for that, but it's something you're going to have to do if you have this helicopter. A couple of other crash noteworthy things. Tail blades. Okay, you're going to want to have a supply of those. The tail motor mount, tail motor support. Okay, now when you get this and you're going to replace them, it comes with the bearing. Do yourself a favor and don't use the old bearing over. Replace the bearing. It comes in the package, and you got to press it in place a bit, but you're going to want that. Other items to have. If you have this helicopter, and I think we covered it early, we want the tail fuse. Always spare motors unless you're doing the brushless upgrade. We'll get to that later. And I would recommend my upgrade with the heatsink on that. Tail motor. It lasts a little longer than the main motor, but nevertheless you do need to have a spare. Comes with a wire harness, which generally you're not going to use, but it'll come in handy at some point. Of course, the main gear. Tail boom. Relatively inexpensive, but they break easy and they bend, so you're going to want to have a spare. Also, the tail boom struts. You're going to go through those. Now, here's a main shaft. I myself do keep this in stock. However, no matter how hard I crash this helicopter, I can't bend one of these. This is a pretty good solid piece of steel. It's unlikely that you'll bend this, so I wouldn't really worry about it. Main frame, which is the top upper section, is very thin metal. Sometimes you'll find that they'll bend a little bit in here and you can straighten them. Do yourself a favor and keep a set of these in stock. The lower frame, or they call it the battery tray, this piece here, which goes at the bottom, I've never broken one yet. And these here, although I keep one around at least for each helicopter, a lot of times that'll bend in a serious crash. You can straighten them. Relatively inexpensive. You want to keep that around. Now here's a small collection of frame repair kits. This is the back piece that we talked about earlier. Back here. Okay. Even though I'm fairly confident my upgrade will hold it, I'm going to always keep one of those around. The other piece that breaks on these a lot, if we can find one here in our little collection, is this guy here. This is the front mount. Let me move this aside for you here. Okay, let's just sweep this aside for the moment. We're making a mess here. Okay, can we see it on this one? I think so. Let's turn this around. Just in front of the motor and behind the radio is this right here. Now this is also underneath the motor itself. And this guy is, now let me show you something. There's only 2 screws holding this entire upper to the lower. Okay? The entire upper, if you can picture this as it sits in the helicopter, to the lower. The only thing attaching the whole upper works to the whole lower works is these 2 guys right here. And it's only 2 small screws. Okay? It sits in there like this. That's where your motor would be. And this guy right here is where your tail boom is. So just picture that. This entire upper half of this helicopter is only held in by these 2 guys right here. So, there's a lot of stress here. And these are plastic, they tend to break. And this, although this can break, this upgrade is important. If you happen to notice my cosmetic upgrade here, this does absolutely nothing but make me feel good. And as all this is automotive wire tubing. And I just think it looks cool.
Alright, we got a back camera and a front camera. And we're running the V400 with standard blade. Little wind, not too bad. Yep.